Morning on the Harbor One hotline. Morning, Devin.
Good morning.
How you doing?
I'm doing well. How you doing?
Doing great. I wanted to begin and ask if you were surprised on Monday night when Mac Jones got pulled.
No. I think Bill said after the game he spoke to some of the leaders on the team, so it was a part of the plan, so I wouldn't call it pulled.
So from the perspective of the leaders on the team, one of those was you, and so Bill had spoken to you, and you knew kind of what the plan was when it came to both of those guys.
Yeah.
So
it wasn't a big deal. Even though I know the world is collapsing elsewhere.
Yeah, the world has collapsed over it. Was it a big deal? I mean, when you hear, and honestly, it's helpful because we do look at these things like the world is collapsing. So when a player like Jakobi Meyers says that, and I'm paraphrasing here, that he was upset from he used the word treatment point of view, that when it comes to Mac, is that something that the team feels like? Is that in your mind, is that more the treatment that Mac got from the fans? Like, what? Help explain that for us.
Well, I don't know exactly what he said. I didn't see. I know you paraphrased, but I didn't see any of that, so I'm not sure. But I've been here a long time, so I've been booed. We've been booed. Tom's been booed. So I would say, as a veteran, I understand we play in an area that I would say is very spoiled in what it expects from the team. And, when I got here, everything was about, how do you win 3 Super Bowls? I mean, when you're in the NFL for a while, you realize, we got that done, but that's not a normal task at hand to say, you got to win 3 Super Bowls to be considered a good football team. So, I think it kind of is what it is. I think overall we've really been focused this week about trying to get a win. It sucks to be here saying this. I feel like this was a couple of weeks ago we were talking about, not playing well, coming off a tough game and, only focusing on getting a win. But we're back here, and, I think that's been the focus on the practice field. Obviously, Wednesday was a little slower because, you come off a Monday night game. But yesterday, everybody running around trying to get back going and trying to go out here Sunday and get a win.
Devin, being in the league a long time, it's a good thing because you've seen a lot of things, you've been through a lot of things, so you can kind of maybe give advice to guys regardless of what it is. You're in a situation where you had a really good rookie year, you took a step back your second year in. Do you ever talk to Mac about that, we had a great year and he kind of takes a step back this year to really focus on how to kind of maybe climb out of that maybe mental hole that you think that you're in because you're not playing as good as you did your rookie year? Do you give him any advice, or do you ever talk to him about that?
I wouldn't say like a long talk. I wouldn't want people to think that like we sat down and broke bread talking about it. But no, I mean, he's a younger player, a younger leader on the team. So I'm always talking to him about different things and giving my piece of advice. So, but I wouldn't say specifically like we haven't had a conversation about, my second year compared to his second year. But, always trying to give him little nuggets and things that I've learned along the way. But, I wouldn't say like specifically we've kind of, talked about that situation.
Devin, when you look back on Monday, I know on Friday you talked to us and you said when it comes to any team, we aren't good enough to just expect we're going to win games. When you look at the preparation, when you get towards Chicago, was their offense just not what you expected it to be? I know it wasn't that you didn't think that they were good, but was it different than how you had prepared?
Yeah, we knew there were going to be some wrinkles. They had 11 days off, so I thought, I think from watching the game, everyone saw there were definitely more design runs than usual than they had done all season. But, I would say we still were prepared. I would say overall we didn't play as good as we could have, and I think they played really well. So that's a bad combination, for us to go out there and not play our best against any team, and especially when they play, some of their better football. So, I think for us that was how that kind of I would say played out Monday, and once they got rolling and we didn't get up to a good start, we never could get back in the game, and I think that's what that turned out to be.
Dev, I know from being in the locker room, you guys see things differently than we see them outside. So when you have a guy like, Mac and Zappy that kind of going back and forth, sharing reps, I know you probably don't see as much because you're on the defensive side of the football. But as a team, do you guys know exactly, let's say come Saturday, who's going to be starting at whatever position? Or is it one of those things that it could still be a game time decision and that maybe you're not 100% sure who could be the starting quarterback or starting at any other position?
Yeah, I know defensively, for the most part, we usually know, who's going to be where. I would say, there's always some kind of moving parts, with injuries and different things like that of, guys, figuring out, how much they can play, what they can do. So that's always a part of the process. I think we always take that kind of week by week of whatever, different guys' situations are. So, I don't know about offensively or how that's going to turn out, but I think as a defensive standpoint, a defensive player, we can't worry about, who's going to get the first carry on offense or who's going to be the quarterback. Like, we just got to go out and play and do what we do.
But when it comes to who is going to be quarterback, because you can help us here. I think that we do a lot of speculating. I think the fans do a lot of speculating. Do you feel like either guy, there is a momentum change? Wiggy was talking earlier about Bailey Zappi coming in that game and his feeling that the momentum was different once he got in that game. Is that something that you as players feel?
No, I think the way we started last game was bad. So, we went down and scored, so that was good. And I think defensively we got to stop. So, I think that had, a lot to do with it. But I always think about football's not about, is the crowd cheering when we take the field or are they not? Was our last play good or not? Like, it's about that play, being in the moment and going out and doing what you need to do on that play, and the game continues on. That's why I think you always see, games turn and plays being made because a guy makes a good play or a team plays better. I wouldn't say it turns into like, well, we got momentum. They don't have that doesn't really matter. It's all about execution and playing well. So I think no matter what, whoever's on the football field for us, offense, defense, special teams, we got to play well, and that'll give us, so-called momentum or help us win.
As much as we can say that you guys are football players and you're used to the booing or the chants or whatever, the outside noise, there's a human aspect that plays into being a player, I'm sure, and there's a mental aspect that comes along with that. So how do you make sure that on a short week where now you're on the road against a 5-2 Jets team that you don't let any player on offense or defense get too low?
Well, the good thing is we know we're going to get booed this week, so we get to go. We get to go to Jersey. Know we're going to get booed. The boos are expected. The boos, I would say, is going to be welcome. The middle fingers are going to be welcome. So we're going to go back to a little bit of a normal setting. So that should help everybody's mental, and we can enjoy being on the road and getting booed, and not be surprised by it.
Is that boob fireman Ed still around?
I don't think so.
No.
Yeah, I don't really remember, to tell you the truth. I know there was a gap there.
Yeah.
He's 63 years old, so he's still kicking, Greg. I'm not sure if he's going to the games. Devin, so I remember vividly Derek Jeter was being asked in like the early 2000s, years after the Yankees had won 4 out of 5 World Series, and he said that this isn't those teams. Like, this is a new team. We need to stop comparing what this team is doing compared to those teams because this team hasn't accomplished much. Do you feel any of that when it comes to you're sort of one of the last standing guys on the roster who had won the 3 titles when you look at the reaction to the day-to-day approach of this season's team?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I would say there's no doubt that this team isn't that team. And I will say, by bringing up Derek Jeter, I should do more of what he does. Like, he was just so calm and cool and it really just told the media anything that worked. So that was a pretty cool captain documentary as a side note. But I think, like, teams can't be the same when there's no players that are the same. You know what I mean? I think teams aren't the same year to year. And I would say it was the same thing when I first got here, being compared to all of the teams that, played before us, whether it was the early 2000s, whatever year you want to pick. But, we got that nonstop. And, I don't think it'll stop for this team. Like, that's just how sports go. You play on a team that's had a lot of success and won championships. Like, everyone wants to remember those days. So whether it's the media, whether it's the fans, they're going to always bring up and compare, whether you're a defensive back, you're a corner, safety, you're going to be compared. You're going to bring up Rodney Harrison, Ty Law, Lloyd Malloy. Like, if you play linebacker, you're going to hear about Teddy Bruschi. You're going to hear about Mike Vrabel. So the comparisons, they'll never stop. But I think as a team, you got to realize, like, you're not that team. And if you try to be that team, that'll never work out for you. You got to establish your own identity and build things that fit you and where you're at as a team, in the here and now.
Well, Dev, hopefully the tight ends are hearing about Wiggy, so when they get there from them.
Wiggy, we get the Wiggy special every time we're in the playoffs. We hear about what Jermaine Wiggins stepped up and did against the Raiders.
All right, well, that's good. I'll take that.
But you hear it from Wiggy, which is like a weird thing. It's supposed to be others that are talking about your achievements.
How did he get in here?
Hey, you got to pat yourself on the back. But you talk about momentum in the game. Give us a little insight to when you guys take the field. I understand defensively you're always trying to stop teams, but at the beginning of the game, when you take the field, say offensively, you get the ball first and the offense goes out there and scores a touchdown versus the offense going out there on a 3-and-out. Is there anything maybe momentum-wise, urgency-wise, when you take the field knowing that the offense just came away with 7 versus going 3-and-out?
I would say I know I never played offense, but I would say as a player, when – like, if defensively, if I was an offensive player, we got a 3-and-out, I would think, like, let's score. Mm-hmm. And as a defensive player, when the offense goes down and scores, I think let's get 3-and-out to get on the ball right back and see what kind of lead we can really take now. And I think on the adverse side of that, when it doesn't go well, I think, like, all right, the last thing we could do is give up a long drive, and now they have to sit on the other side of the ball and, just sit on the sideline and have that bad feeling. So I think on both sides, you're like, let's get them the ball back so they can score again, or you're thinking, let's get them the ball back so they can try to build a rhythm and not just sit on the sideline and watch the game. So I would say the result stays the same, but maybe your mentality or, how you view it changes. But you still, I think, no matter what, offensively, you want to have long drives and score. And I think defensively, you want to get turnovers. So, like, if we don't go score, we're thinking, let's get 3-and-out, let's get a big turnover. Let's try to help jumpstart that. And, if we do score, we're like, all right, let's try to get that thing rolling. So, we're, now defensively, if we're playing from up 14-zip instead of 7-zip, like, that's a little bit of a difference. Or it goes to 17-3. Like, all of those little things, I think, play a factor.
With the trade deadline next week, do you pay attention to anything like that? We just saw Roquan Smith break down during a press conference when he learned about the Bears trade. As a player, do you focus on that at all?
No, I probably have very low trade value, so there's a good chance that I'll probably be here. But I would say overall, I've seen trades. Like, I probably bring it up every year when we talk about the trade deadline. Is being a young guy, seeing Logan Mankins traded. Nothing surprises me. So I think, I always talk about it. You build friendships, and whether it's through trades, free agency, I think as a person, your job, is to stay connected with people and continue to reach out to them and talk to them and not let just the circumstances of being on the same team dictate your friendship. So teams are always trying to improve. Teams are always trying to do things that they think will help them win. So no matter what, that's why there's a trade deadline. That's why there's trade. So whatever happens, and, we'll have to adjust and do what we need to do as a team.
Dev, I know you usually focus on defense, but have you had a chance to maybe peek down on the other side of the football and see whether or not Mac is going to be starting this week? Because there were reports he was getting 90% of the first-team reps.
That is a great question, and I did not get to peek, man. My hands were full this week, Wiggy. Maybe next week.
Wiggy, you have to ask it in a different. You gotta sneak it in there somehow.
I mean, I tried.
I mean, you have to.
How would you have snuck it in there, Greg?
I would have said something to the effect of, with Mac being the starter this week, is it important for you as a leader to give him a little pep talk and make sure the confidence is where it should be?
And then I would have asked you, did you talk to Bill? Because I hadn't heard that yet.
Well, wait a minute. I thought, Bill, you're a leader on the team. I thought Bill spoke to all of the leaders on the team about this.
Well, you asked me last week. Every week's a new week.
Oh, is it day to day?
Captain's meeting is until Friday.
We'll see how today goes.
From what I heard, everything's day to day.
Everything is day to day over there. All right, Devin McCourty. Always great to talk to you.
Can't get nothing past that.
And we'll talk to you next week. All right.